Alright, let's just say it. Abolish ICE might be one of the dumbest political slogans of the last decade. And that's saying something, because politics has turned into a full-time competition to see who can come up with the most emotionally satisfying sentence that completely falls apart the second you think about it for more than 10 seconds. Seriously, abolish ICE. Okay, then what? Nobody ever seems to get past that part. Because once you move beyond the hashtag and the protest signs and the emotional speeches, you run directly into reality. And reality has a nasty habit of ruining slogans. Now look, I already know people hear ICE and immediately picture immigration raids because that's what cable news loops 24 hours a day, like it's a Netflix series. But ICE also deals with human trafficking, drug operations, gang investigations, child exploitation cases, customs enforcement, and immigration law enforcement. So when politicians casually scream abolish ICE, what they're really saying is, yeah, let's dismantle a major federal enforcement agency because it polls well with activists this week. That's not leadership. That's performance art. And honestly, half the people chanting it probably couldn't explain what ICE actually does if you gave them a whiteboard and 3 attempts. Now here's where people get uncomfortable. The immigration crisis didn't magically appear out of nowhere. It wasn't some mystery event. People came because the incentives changed. That's reality. If the message becomes, enforcement is weaker, deportation is less likely, benefits are available, work opportunities exist, and the border feels more open, more people are going to come? Of course they are. Humans respond to opportunity. That's not racism. That's not hate. That's literally how civilization works. And the numbers back it up. Border encounters surged into the millions in recent years. That's not a political opinion. That happened. Now here comes the part where people start pretending not to understand basic economics. When cities suddenly absorb massive numbers of migrants in short periods of time, systems get strained. Housing gets tighter. Schools get overwhelmed. Healthcare systems get stressed. Budgets get stretched. And then average Americans notice this happening and say, hey, this doesn't seem sustainable. And somehow they become the villains. That's the amazing part. You're apparently supposed to ignore what your own eyes are seeing now. And look, this is where I lose patience with politicians. Because the same people who scream compassion almost always live comfortably far away from the actual consequences. Protected neighborhoods, private schools, private security, good health care. It's easy to advertise virtue when your life doesn't change. Meanwhile, working-class communities are expected to just absorb everything silently and never ask questions. No. That's not how adults solve problems. And before somebody clips this and screams, he hates immigrants.
Relax.
America benefits from legal immigration. Always has. Hardworking people coming here legally, building businesses, building families, contributing to the country. That's part of the American story. But legal immigration and illegal immigration are not the same thing, no matter how many politicians try to blur the line because it sounds nicer emotionally. Countries have borders. Every country. Japan enforces immigration law. Canada does. France does. Mexico absolutely does. But somehow in America, enforcing immigration law gets treated like some kind of extremist position. It's absurd. And the word deportation now gets thrown around like it's some shocking new invention. Deportation is literally what countries do when immigration laws are violated. That's not radical. That's sovereignty. Now, does every case deserve humanity and fairness? Of course. Anybody with a brain understands there are families involved, children involved, complicated situations involved. But once a country decides laws only matter selectively, eventually the entire system starts collapsing. And honestly, Americans are tired of being told not to notice obvious things. That frustration? That's real. People are tired of slogans replacing policy. Tired of being emotionally manipulated every 5 minutes. Tired of politicians acting like border security and compassion can't exist in the same conversation. Because they can. Actually, they have to. Now, do I think mass deportation on a massive scale would be easy? No. Economically, politically, logistically, it would be incredibly difficult, but pretending enforcement itself is immoral is where this entire conversation leaves reality and enters fantasy land. And that's why abolish ICE is ridiculous. Because eventually somebody has to stop performing for social media and actually govern the country. That's the part nobody wants to do. Because governing is harder than tweeting. Next week on the Weekly Reality Check, we need to talk about this White House MMA idea. 'Cause I'm sorry, maybe I'm old school here, but putting cage fight culture at the White House? Really? What exactly are we doing now? That one's next. This has been your Weekly Reality Check, where reality usually survives about 5 minutes longer than the political slogans do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Cheers for now.